Hello Fun Army! Welcome back to Life and Other Saga Skills! This week, another new mission, and it's another sewing mission. So, after many years of waiting for it to even exist as a thing you could buy, and then some months of saving up to actually buy it, I finally have... I'm not even going to be able to fit this all in shot. You're like, is it a snooker cane? No. Is it a cigarette holder? No, it's a very long cane. So long that I put it there and it doesn't fit in shot. This is the top. If you've been around for a while, you know that I'm so super excited about this, and I have a pen version. But yes, there now exists an actual version of Lucius Malfoy's wand and the cane into which it slides. So what's really super cool about this is, well, one of the many super cool things about this, you slide it in and then there's a magnet, so it like clicks into place like that. It's amazing, but like the head is super heavy, so it's I'm already just constantly worried about like battering it to death. So yes, if I stand the whole thing up, yeah, look, you can't even see the top of it. So it comes up to like just above my waist when I'm standing up, and I'll give you a visual of that later on. But yeah, super exciting moment. The downside is that it comes not in a lovely presentation case like you get if you buy any other Harry Potter world wand. It comes in polystyrene in a box, which I was aware of, but now that I've seen and held the physical thing, I'm like, this is so easily going to get battered if I'm not careful, so I want to give it a home. Now I did think, okay, I could just take the polystyrene in the box that it came in and sort of cover it and, you know, fashion effectively a protective box, but that means then that you are... it means that you have to store the bits separately, which, you know, I don't hate, but it's one of those things where if you're not going to cack it up, you don't want to keep taking it in and out all the time. She says, demonstrating taking it in and out. So I'm quite keen to just have it kept like this, where it's all as one piece. So therefore, I'm on a mission to make a Lucius Malfoy cane holder. Yay! If in doubt, make something. So I had, well, I'm still slightly trying to figure this out, but I had an idea, which is I have quite a number of these, which are like, you know, insides of when you finished a roll of wrapping paper. And I mostly don't actually buy wrapping paper anymore. I try and just recycle stuff that comes in the post. But I do have these left because I tend to be like, oh, I'm going to practice like staff spinning, and I swizzle them around. So yes, I have a couple of these. Now, as you can probably tell, this is a lot shorter than the actual cane. So I'm debating whether I might sort of stick two together. But certainly I'm going to use the one to help sort of create the framework for what we're going to make here. And then I looked into my fabric stash and I was like, I could try and sort of like patchwork something together based on some of the small bits of Harry Potter world related fabric I have, or I could order in some special fabric to make a really like flouncy Malfoy worthy cover. Or then I thought, like, actually I've got something that is long enough and also pretty sturdy and I really like it, which is this fabric. Which you may or may not remember from me recovering one of my bolster cushions a little while back. The joy is it's already long enough and it's already cut. So what I'm thinking is, if we're using the tube as a base and then we've got some awesome fabric to go around the outside, really it's just going to kind of follow the same structure that I've used for both the water bottle holder and the yoga mat holder, but just incorporating this cardboard roll just to give it a bit more sturdiness. And also I'm gonna pad it. So my theory is that the outside will just look like this and will go nicely around the doodah. And then I need a slightly thinner version that's more aligned to, being very careful, the width of the cane. And then that will effectively fit inside the tube. So you'll basically, whee, oh look, you can see right through it, lol. So you'll basically have like the inside bit that goes in this way, and the outside bit that goes around here, and then in between I'm going to stuff it. So I've got like toy filling and old fabric scraps and all sorts of things that I use for stuffing. I also have some foam left over from when I made my slippers, so I'm thinking I might put some foam at the bottom just in case the whole thing drops. But the idea would be that I make the lining so that it stops about here, so it's not actually banging on the bottom of anything anyway. It's just, I just want it to be well padded so I can't easily bosh it places. And obviously, as you can imagine, the head itself would be too big for this anyway, so that's what needs to be padded on the top of everything. So that's the plan. I have to slightly figure out how to do it in reality, because when I have made the other two aforementioned projects in that tubey shape, you quite simply make the outside, make the inside, sew the two together the correct way around, so that you've got your lining and your outer. What I've got to figure out is at what point I can sew the outside and the inside together, because I do need to put the stuffing in. So that's something I've got to figure out at the moment. Like, I sort of feel I need to make both the inside and the outside and not sew them together. Put the outside on so that that's there. Feed the inside into the middle of the tube and then stuff around it. And then I can sew it up once I've done the stuffing. But I don't think there's going to be a way of doing it otherwise. So anyway, as ever, it's a bit experimental. I may change some things as I go. I will try and keep you posted with my thought process, but sometimes I think I've said something and I haven't, so yeah, sorry if that happens. But yes, otherwise I'm going to put this back in the polystyrene now so I don't batter it anymore. And then I'm going to, not that this fabric really needs ironing, it's pretty straight anyway, but I'm just going to figure out how to cut this, because I will probably, because if I do it like literally just folded it in half, that would just get round the tube. And obviously, as I've said, the inner lining part doesn't need to be as wide, so I'll probably cut this like 2/3 to 1/3, something like that. I'll just obviously have to double check that that works with the width of the cane. But yeah, so I'll go over to the ironing board and trim that. And then yeah, kind of quickly sew it together and then get to stuffing. So hopefully this shouldn't take too long, to be honest, because it's fairly straightforward. So hang tight and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I was going to say the hardest bits are done, but actually I think the stuffing in between these two layers is going to be the hardest bits. But basically, as you can see, I've got an outer tube that contains the innards of the wrapping paper tube. And then we've got the cane sitting in its own little lining tube on the inside. And then I've got this extra fabric, which when we are ready will be folded inwards, something like that, and then I'll pop a little drawstring on, and that keeps everything sort of tight and protected and closed. However, the key bit right now is to do the stuffing. So I've inserted the inner bit with the cane in it just to help me kind of position that. What I'm going to do is take the wand bit out, because obviously the snake head is quite bulky and that's going to get in the way, but I think I'm going to try and leave the main cane in there just so that I can see what I need to stuff round and see how that goes. So yeah, but so far feeling pretty happy with this. Yay! So as you can see, I'm now going to stuff into this bit, but because we've got that bit in the middle, I can see where I'm going, and I've now pulled this down so I can see a bit better where I'm going. So yeah, basically just need to stuff around it and try and keep this in the middle as far as possible. Haha, this is going to be fun. So now that I've used the power of a knitting needle to push padding down the middle, I've put the, because I've got so much extra fabric it keeps rolling down, so I need to keep rolling it back up again. Yes, so I've now put the wand back in so that we can just check that it's going to have enough padding around its head. So obviously it'll have this amount of fabric, but I want to just put a bit of padding around here in between the two layers. So again, I'm just going to roll the top layer down and pull the inner layer up, just to make sure that we are getting between the two. So I've pulled the outside down to the neck of where the tube stops, and then I'm just going to start putting more of this like floof in from here upwards. Okay, so we're into the final stretch now. I've removed the cane again, just so that we can get at this bit. So I've basically, it's very complicated to explain, a lot easier to do, folded the outside and the inside down and round so that there's a nice neat edge underneath. So I'm now going to sew two lines. One to obviously sew all of that down, and then the second one to create a channel where we're going to then poke through our lovely spangly gold bits that I've just pulled from my bag of tricks. So this, much like what I did with the yoga bag, I think came off either a shoebox or a gift bag. I quite often find I use these for this particular purpose, so yeah, always useful if you're recycling something like that to just pull off these, because they come very much in handy. So yeah. The only difficulty now is that because this is so small, I can't get it on like the end of the sewing machine, so I'm going to have to be like a couple of stitches at a time and then moving to make sure I'm not sewing everything incorrectly. But yes, on the upside is it's only small, so it shouldn't take too long, hopefully. So yeah, here we go. Here we go then, so it's now time to get going with the gold. So basically you feed, and this is always really hard to explain, but you feed one in one way and one in the other way, and then when they sort of pull against each other, that's what causes the strings, whatever you want to call them, ties to pull together. And now for the final test. Hope it all goes back in again. Right. Ooh. Just need to try and do this without cacking the tripod at the same time. Okay, so step one. I'm hoping this is easier to do when you're standing up. Oy. Can I find the hold out? No. Oh man. Oh, there it is. There it is. It's just I've padded it so well. Whee! That actually is a wee bit stiff to get it in, but that's a good thing. That means it's well protected. Just have to hope I can get it out again on the other side. And then, oops. The only problem with snake fangs is they literally get stuck in everything. Right, there we go. So, just jiggle everything about. There we go. Pop that in there. There we go. Actually, I don't think I pushed it all the way down. It's really hard to tell. There we go. Let me pull that closed. Sit back down again so you can roughly see it. Ta-da! One Lucius Malfoy cane holder.